What's going on, everyone? This is Badass Reviewer, and I am back with another review. This time I'm taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series Episode 3 Obi Wan Kenobi. This is a pretty nice figure. I was kind of looking forward to this guy because Episode 3 is probably my favorite of the three prequels to the original three, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was pretty excited to pick this guy up. Pretty nice figure. Not too much going on that I don't like about him. Pretty cool. I kind of wish they would come with their little robes. That'd be cool to have their Jedi robes, but unfortunately they didn't. And he doesn't really come with any accessories other than his lightsaber, so that kind of sucks. I kind of wish these Jedi figures would come with their robes, sort of like how Darth Maul came with his, but I guess I don't really know. The accessories on some people are like there's a lot of accessories, and other people they don't have any accessories. It's kind of weird. There's some things that are kind of different, that are kind of weird about these figures also. I'll get to that in a little bit. But let's take a look at the figure itself. He is in his Jedi uniform that he wears through the entire movie of Episode 3. Not a whole lot of shading going on, but it is pretty nice. Or, well, there is some shading, but there is color okay, I'm saying that wrong. But there is not the same colors throughout the whole body. His torso area is a different color than the rest of this body. This is more like darker looking, and it actually looks like it was painted with some yellow in it. Kind of like a really tinge of yellow with the white. And then his arms are just kind of like a glossy looking paint, and they're not painted the same color, so they're not the same type of like white color, because this has the yellow mixed in to make it kind of look like a little bit darker, but then this isn't. And then it kind of matches down here, so his bottom piece that kind of covers up his butt and all that is like pretty much all cloth except for these two flaps here, but the rest of it is all cloth, which is actually really nice. I like that they add some like cloth to that figures and stuff. That's pretty cool. His pants, they're kind of, I don't really know what colors any of these are. They're kind of weird colors that I've never really seen. It's kind of a weird brown, I guess. It kind of looks like butterscotch. That kind of color, but maybe not as dark. But his pants, nicely sculpted and painted. He's got some nicely sculpted boots, which look really nice. Got some shading in there, so that's nice. His belt, not too much going on with his belt, but he has some stuff on it, which is nice. It's sculpted onto the actual the lower torso, so it can't be removed or anything. He's got this, you can see the shirt underneath is sculpted and painted nicely. The head sculpt itself is pretty nice. It kind of resembles Ewan McGregor, but not too much. I mean, the face is kind of weird, but it's decently painted and sculpted. I think the hair kind of looks weird, but I think that's just the way it's sculpted and painted. The paint's kind of like dull looking, but there is some shading going on, and he's got some gray going on the side of his head here, kind of like Mr. Fantastic style. But yeah, there is some shading, so that's really nice. And the head sculpt is not bad at all, and it does resemble him in a way, but not quite as close. So here's his lightsaber. The blue part of it, it's pretty nice looking. It's a lot different than Luke's. This one seems to have like a more like narrow tip to the lightsaber, whereas Luke's was kind of thicker, so it's kind of weird. But his lightsaber is really nice. This is the one he uses in Episode 3, obviously. You can remove the blade if you want him to just hold it. And the lightsaber does have a little peg on it that you can fit into this little black hole right here, and that will hold his lightsaber if you wish to have him just holding it. Which is kind of weird why they didn't do that with Luke, but they gave him a little loop on it. I'm not really sure why they did that, but it fits in there nicely, and it doesn't like stick out weirdly, so If you want him to hold it like this, you can. Just don't lose the lightsaber part. The lightsaber, or the energy effect itself, is pretty much like a clear translucent blue. Some people didn't really like that because they're like, oh, it's not really blue, it's just kind of like a weird tinge. I kind of like it. If you put some light into it, it'll probably look really nice. And he can hold it in both hands really nicely. The only problem that I really have is he can't hold the lightsaber with two hands. Due to the sculpting here, because the sculpting of his torso, his arms kind of go into the actual body, and this is kind of like a soft, it's a hard plastic, but it's kind of like bendable, and his arms sink into his thing. So this is kind of like sticking out farther than the rest of his body, so it gets in the way of the articulation. And since he doesn't have a bicep swivel, he only has this, and it's only single jointed, so you can't really get him in a double holding pose because his outfit restricts the articulation. So that kind of sucks. That's kind of the one thing I don't really like about these figures, is that they don't have double jointed elbows, which would be super simple to do, but they don't. And I don't know, like, I guess they do it because it would probably break the sculpt up and make it look weird, because that looks flush, right? But when you bend it, it still looks flush. If they had double jointed elbows, it would look kind of weird. But I mean, it's the same thing down here. It breaks the sculpt up, but I mean, why can't they just do it so that way you have more articulation? Because really, the only way you're gonna get him to pose with his lightsaber is just with one hand, and not everybody fights with one hand unless you have him in some kind of pose where he's like about to strike or something. So I don't know, it kind of sucks, but I mean, what can you do? Other than that, I would say really nice sculpting and paint. Really like this figure. I can't wait for the episode 3 Anakin to come out so you can have him displayed with Obi-Wan here. But let's go over articulation. He's got a ball hinged swivel, and you can't pop the head off. His head can look forward and back, and his head he can't really look up too high because his head sculpt kind of gets in the way, but he can look up a pretty good amount. He can look down, rotate 360 degrees. His arms can go in and out, rotate 360 degrees. No bicep swivel, as I mentioned before. He has a single jointed elbow, which goes almost 90 degrees, or pretty much 90 degrees. But then he's got the elbow swivel. He's got a rotation in the wrist and a hinge. And see, what's weird about this is on this figure, both of his wrists go in and out and not up and down, kind of like how Luke Skywalker's was. So I don't understand why they make it different for everybody, but they do. And it would have been I wish they would have had the up and down swivel on at least one of the hands, but they didn't, so that kind of sucks. But he kind of looks like he has like a gun holding hands, which is kind of weird, but oh well. Anyway, so there's that. He's got the diaphragm joint, which serves as a waist swivel, and the ab crunch. It gets a decent amount of movement, not too much, but it serves the purpose all right. He's got T-jointed legs, so they can go forward and back, in and out. He's got an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, a hinge in the foot, as well as an ankle rocker. So that's really nice. Pretty good articulation. I really just wish that he could hold his lightsaber with two hands. I think if a Star Wars figure couldn't hold his lightsaber with two hands, that kind of sucks. That's probably the only thing I really don't like about this figure. But it's still a good figure, so I would highly recommend you pick him up. And I would say go to Entertainment Earth and pick it up because it's pretty cheap. But that's my review, so I hope you guys enjoyed the review. As I just said, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.